In this video, I will demonstrate Office Mix. When you download Office Mix to your computer, it's a simple add-on and doesn't take very long to download. The only difference you'll see is when you open your presentation, you'll see a Mix tab. That's the new tab that you'll see, and that is really the only change you'll see after downloading. As I mentioned earlier, it's easy to download. Just search for it in your browser, Office Mix, and you'll come to it. So to get started, first thing we want to do is to record a slide. Very similar to recording a slide on a regular PowerPoint. The difference is that you can have audio and video, so you can choose to put a camera up here and have a small thumbnail screenshot of yourself, or not screenshot, but actually a live cam of yourself over in the corner. You can also use inking, a little bit different, but inking that you can use as well. To get started, all you need to do is click record. And once I click record, it will start recording immediately. I recommend waiting about 3 seconds before you start. You can stop the recording, or you can also pause the recording. Once you stop the recording, you can then make any changes. If you want to, you can delete that slide recording if you didn't think you liked it or you messed it up. The beauty of Office Mix is that it does record per slide, so you can actually delete just one slide recording and not start the whole thing over again. Okay, I'm going to continue recording, and so to do that, I click the next arrow and talk about what's on this slide. And I just gave you some best practices, the webcam checklist, Office Mix, keyboard shortcuts. Okay, and here is an example of your notes. One of the other things that I like about Office Mix is that you can have your notes at the top so that you're prepared for presenting. You can also toggle these off by clicking Notes Off, or you can have them on. Now the students will not see this in the finished PowerPoint, or if you export it to a video, they will not see it there as well. And you would continue presenting throughout the presentation. And then when you're finished, you would stop. Okay, and then you can go back to the top and you can preview a slide recording. Okay, I'm going to continue recording. Press Escape to get out of the preview. You can, as I said, edit the slide recording. You can delete all recordings in the PowerPoint. You can delete just this one slide's recording and record it again if you want to. And you can also trim the slide recording, which is pretty easy. It gives you a trim video window. And if a dog came in and started barking, or somebody came in and started talking to you, you can trim that off of there just by moving the red slider, and it will trim that recording. And that's pretty much it for the recording. I'm going to close it. And I didn't save it. Notice it saved it as it was going, so it is saved in there. In fact, you can look on the slide. You'll see the speaker. That indicates that that is the slide, that slide has a recording. So on each one that has a recording, you can see it there. One of the other things that you can do, and I'm going to insert a new slide. To make it interactive, one of the other things that you can do in the Mix tab is to go to Quizzes, Videos, and Apps. And you can, if you have My Add-ins already, or you can go to the store and find add-ins And you can add, let's say, add a multiple choice test. There are other things that you can add here, but the multiple choice test is one that's the most popular. You can select a different font size, and you can type in here a question. Notice you've got formatting toolbar, so you can make some formatting changes if you want to. You can also add a hint if you want to your question. Okay, and I'm going to add great, adequate, add some others, should have stayed home, hope it gets better. Just some answers there. Okay, so you also can allow a single choice only, or you can give them multiple choices, so it can be a multiple choice and response. You can shuffle the answers, so not everyone gets the answers in the same way. You can allow retry, or you can limit their attempts. So I'm gonna allow the retry. I'm also going to mark the correct answer, which I'm going to say is great, although this one doesn't really necessarily have a correct answer, but you can give them a response for each answer that they gave you. So you can add feedback on each one of them. I'm going to preview it. And if I respond to this one and submit, it says that's correct, great job. And I can change that feedback. And then up here, I can continue to the next slide. So you can check to make sure that works, and it does. And I can also retry. That is the incorrect answer. And I can notice up here with the triangle, I can get support. They're very good at giving you support. I can delete this question. I can reload it as well, which I like to do before I leave it. And that's one of the things that you can add in your slideshow that is interactive. I'm going to insert another slide. And in this one, I'll demonstrate how to do a web viewer. There it is. Add a web viewer. Okay, and on this I can add a web address that I want to take them to. Notice it does have to be a secure one, so it has to have the S in there, but this can be a very handy tool to have. When I preview it, there it is, and notice on the screen it allows you to scroll up and down so that you can see the whole page of that website. So this is a nice addition to slideshow if you've got some resource that you want them to stop and look at. And that was adding a web viewer under quizzes. So there's several things. I recommend that you go in and explore what's in the store and what you can add here, because there are some really good things that are really good, good interactive, that make it interactive. You can also insert a recording of a screen. So if I had a screen to record, so what I'm going to do first is insert another slide. And I'm going to mix and screen recording. And this is the screen that I want to record on. So first I'm going to select the area that I want to record on. and I would then record on it. And so to record on this, I would just talk about on April 3rd, 2016, you start with the date at 2 inches on the letter. Notice there's a gap between the date and the mailing address. There's 4 lines there. You've returned 4 times, so 3 blank lines. There's also a blank line before and after the salutation to set it apart. Single-spaced paragraphs are always not indented, not always, but usually, and they also are single-spaced. Double-spaced paragraphs are always indented, and they are double-spaced. You do need a blank line between single-spaced paragraphs, so you have a blank line there. At the end, you have a blank line before the closing line, which in this case is sincerely, and then you quadruple space in order to give them room for their name. So there are 2 places you quadruple space, after the date and after the closing. Hover your mouse over at the top and you can stop the recording and go back over to, and there is your screen recording. I can click here to play it. And so record on it. I also have video tools that I can use to make corrections as needed. And I'll show you in a minute another tool that you can use to do the screen recordings, which is a nice tool to have, and there are good things and bad things about both of them. Advantages and disadvantages, let me put it that way. Okay, so back to the mix. You can just put a screenshot that is static and doesn't have the recording on it. Very similar. Insert video, insert audio. Another thing that you can do with screen recording is to grab a snippet off of YouTube of a video. Say, for instance, if you were teaching emotional intelligence, you might, and in a psychology class, you might want to use a snip of the Fried Green Tomatoes movie where she says, I have more insurance than you do. And it's a good example of that concept. So you can do that. You can take a snippet. It takes a little bit of practice, but to work the 2 screens, but it can be done. And it's a good use for that. When you have finished, you can upload to OfficeMix, and the main advantage to doing that is that when you upload to OfficeMix, your students, you will be able to get the analytics back from the interaction, so where they've answered those questions. Or if you upload it to YouTube, you will not be able to get those. The disadvantage to uploading to OfficeMix is that you do have to use a third-party software for captioning. So if you're required to do captioning for accessibility, then it would be a little bit harder to do that. You wouldn't want to use that probably because it is more difficult. You need that third-party software. So I'm going to click Upload and click Next. And in step 2, I need to sign in, of course. And I'm uploading a new mix. I do want to create it so that viewers can watch this mix offline and on mobile devices. And then I wait for it to upload. It may, depending on the length of the video, it may take a few minutes. Close to being finished, we have finished the exported phase, the uploaded, and we're working on the processing. Okay, and it tells us that we were successful, so we click Show Me My Mix. And you can make some changes here. You can give it a description. You could give it a different title. You can also put tags in it so people can find it if that's what you want. Right now it's for limited sharing, so you want to change that to unlisted. That means that anyone you give the link to can view it, but others cannot find it. Here you can allow comments if you want, or you can uncheck that. You can email it to someone, you can share it. I need to save those sharing options that I made adjustment to. And so when I click share, I have the option to share it on Facebook, Google, Twitter, Pinterest, or LinkedIn. And I can also embed, which I like to use the embed code for when I am doing this in an online classroom and I want a small embed. It does tell you about closed captioning, and you can visit their knowledge base to learn a little bit more about it. I have found it difficult, though, to find that third-party software that I could use. And then I can view it. Also, here's the link for anyone that you want to give it to so that they can watch the video. Okay, and I'm going to close that. So I could go to my mixes and see my mixes there. Anytime, I have several of them in there. I can also, I haven't published it to Office 365. I haven't done that at all. I have exported to a video and then uploaded to YouTube, which is what I use this for most of the time. When I'm lecturing on using a PowerPoint, I usually will use this software to get everything done, and then I will upload to YouTube at this point because I do have to close captioning, but I still am looking for an alternative so that I can do it in Office Mix with the closed captioning. So I'll have the interactivity. And that is pretty much most everything in Office Mix. Hope this has been helpful, and we'll move on to the next item.